And a lot of believers, like Muhammad, who was given the Quran, didn't know about 19. So it's
So
not like
that's
a
like
big
saying that.
deal. I mean, he read verse 74:31, did he not?
So that's like saying that human
It's not a
knowledge, God
requirement for
is
salvation, that's for sure.
absolutely not. It's not a requirement for salvation. Absolutely not. But
Right.
if
Okay, we can agree on
somebody
that.
encounters it and fights against it, that can be like just the Quran is not a requirement for salvation, right? If you read
No, it is. It's
262
a
and verse,
guidance. It's the truth. What
let,
are you
let me
talking
finish.
about?
Let me finish.
No, no, no. You,
262.
you have to take that back. God says if you do
No,
not
no.
have
Let me
the
finish my
Quran,
statement. Let me finish my statement. 262 and 569 are very clear that who those were Judeans or Nazarenes or converts, whoever believes in God and the last day and leads a righteous life, they have the reward from God. They have nothing to fear nor they grieve. This is God's promise. So that means that the Quran itself is not criterion for salvation. If they're following scripture and they're worshiping God alone, that's all that's needed, right? But if somebody comes along and actively fights against the Quran, I would say that it's questionable whether that person is a believer. And the same thing for it's one of the big prophecies that's given in the Quran. It's
so
literally a
God
wake up call.
defines the
Let me
mu'mins,
finish.
right?
I let you hear. I
Okay.
heard all of what you're saying, right? Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in Surah 74, verse 31, it's a very, very specific prophecy. It's a very strongly worded prophecy. 31 lists all the functions of the prophecy, and then God swears very powerfully by the moon and by the night as it retreats and the day as it shines. And this is one of the greatest, right? And by whoever wants to advance or regress, right? So this is a warning, wake up call, a warning call to everybody. So
Hmm.
this is a big sign, right? So we cannot
Right.
just push it away and say, it's not important. God decided, it's God who decides. If God sends down this sign specifically as a wake up call for humanity, and if you look at the whole of the Muslim Ummah, they're kind of living in darkness because of certain innovations and corruptions and digressions from the religion. So what God sent down is this is just a proof of that message. The message is to worship God alone. That's a very important
Right.
message. And whoever fights against that message is a different thing. Of course, it's not a criterion. If somebody who has not looked at the sign or not heard of the sign or investigated the sign but still worships God alone, that person is guaranteed salvation according to 262 and 569.
I wanted to agree with the B that the believing in the Quran is not required. And so if you're saying that uh, um, believing in the Quran is not required, however, if you're presented the Quran and you see it and then you reject it, that's a different issue. The same thing with Muhammad, same thing with Jesus and the angels and Rashad. Why should I treat Rashad differently from the other messengers or the other prophets, right?